record. Okay. All right. So I'll put this in slideshow mode and you guys can see it.
Do not go crazy. I
Okay.
might mute myself in between because my
No,
cat's
you're good.
playing with their bell and I fear you in the background. So,
Okay, here we go. So our case study student was Pedro Martinez, and he is a 10-year-old male in third grade at Abraxas at Harrison. And he was identified with a specific learning disability and struggles severely in reading comprehension, math calculation, and problem solving, along with written expression. He has a poor rate of retention and acquisition in class, which significantly impacts his present levels of academic achievement and functional performance. He also shows disruptive behavior and challenges such as like attention seeking and difficulty following directions from authority figures. He once brought a weapon to school, so he has been placed in disciplinary settings with his new identification as an SLD learner.
who is Pedro's family? Pedro's family comes from a low income background with his mother working two jobs to be able to support her four kids. She is fluent in both Spanish and English, but primarily speaks English to Pedro at home. Pedro's father is absent in his life, and his grandparents immigrated to the US from Mexico. Pedro's mother is extremely involved in his education and wants nothing more than to see her child succeed and receive the educational needs, oh my God, receive the education he needs to do so. She hopes to see his academic progress and is in support to do whatever it needs to be able to improve his academic and behavioral learning.
Pedro's present level of performance. Pedro's reading performance is significantly, sorry, it's blocking it, below grade level, falling between the end of first grade and beginning of second as a third grader. He has a slow rate of acquisition and comprehension, but can decode words and recognize them. His math performance is at a first grade to mid second grade level. He struggles with basic math computations, regrouping, and application of his math skills to real world situations such as money, time, and calendar work. He displays attention-seeking behavior such as profanity, throwing objects, weapon usage, etc. in school, and has trouble following directions from authority when asked to do something. He struggles to stay focused and on task in the classroom.
Pedro's disability. Pedro has been identified with a specific learning disability, which affects his academic achievement in literacy, math, and written expression. Based on his severe difficulties in academic facets and the ability achievement discrepancy with his standardized testing, he qualifies for special education services under the IDEA, which is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act.
Some inclusive practices to use with Pedro are differentiated instruction or DI, which Pedro needs specific instruction that is tailored to his learning style, focused on word recognition, decoding, retention, and comprehension. So there has been a behavioral intervention plan that will address Pedro's behavior and it will enforce positive reinforcement and those types of strategies to make sure Pedro has like these desired behaviors and clear structure in the classroom. Different co-teaching models, such as team teaching or one teach, one assist, could be helpful for Pedro to integrate special education support within the general education classroom for more one-to-one instruction, and ensuring that Pedro's mother is as involved as possible to help her continue. Pedro's support at home is also crucial in his learning experience.
So some family cultural background. His family is bilingual and speaks both English and Spanish, and his parents immigrated to the US from Mexico. His mother uses English as his primary language at home, so Pedro doesn't struggle in school with English. And then Pedro's father is no longer in the picture, so his cultural influence comes from his grandparents and mother sharing their views on education and support he needs to succeed.
So socioeconomic status. Pedro's family is from a low-income background with a single mother working two jobs to support her four children. Not only is this stressful and burdening on Pedro's mother, but it limits ability for academic support at home for Pedro. His mother wants the best for him and wants him to receive the services he needs to succeed, but she's very overwhelmed with supporting her family financially and emotionally, and Pedro is not getting much attention from her for individual support at home.
So some of Pedro's strengths are Pedro has very good attendance in school and maintains an optimistic attitude despite his learning difficulties. He has a natural talent in art that could be extremely useful for engagement and motivation in the classroom. Pedro is respectful towards authority figures for the most part, in exception for his behavioral issues with following directions.
In the aspect of family strength and collaboration, his mother is a busy woman working two jobs to support her children, but she is dedicated to Pedro's education and supports whatever services he needs to succeed. She is involved with his education and seeks academic action for Pedro to improve his performance. His mother is fluent in English and Spanish, as we said, but speaks predominantly English at home, which is helpful for Pedro's linguistic abilities. And the desire of her to want to be involved in his education does provide a good foundation for school family collaboration and communication. She also collaborates actively during his IEP or individualized education program meetings and is committed to ensuring he makes progress in his academic and behavioral goals.
So successful inclusive strategies. So the first one would be peer tutoring slash support. Pedro could benefit in peer assessment for support in math and literacy in the classroom. This promotes social emotional learning or SEL, and the collaboration in a culturally responsive classroom fosters inclusivity while supporting Pedro's behavioral and academic needs. Another strategy could be behavioral intervention, which would consist of a reward system or positive reinforcements to reduce Pedro's disruptive behaviors and keep him focused. Functional behavior assessments, or FBA, has helped identify patterns in his behavior and inform the development of behavioral intensive plan, or BIP, to address his needs. Another strategy could be differentiated instruction. This would help him with differentiating different activities and instructions and accommodations to succeed in things like literacy and math for his individual needs, ensuring that Pedro has equitable access to the curriculum through differentiated materials and assessments that align with his IEP goals. Another strategy could be co-teaching methods, which pairs a general education teacher with a special education teacher in an inclusive co-teaching environment using models like parallel teaching, which is dividing the class into small groups to focus on Pedro's specific needs in math and literacy without isolating him.
Some failed inclusion strategies, the general education classroom, the placement in a general education classroom is not sufficient for Pedro's individual needs and academic challenges. He has been placed in a disciplinary setting, which suggests a gap in the current inclusion strategies. And his behavior. Pedro's behavior issues, disruptions, and noncompliance have not been addressed completely in the classroom, showing a need for more structured behavioral intervention and support.
Some teaching strategies. The first one is use simplified text and visual supports at Pedro's reading and comprehension level. Stories with simpler vocabulary and shorter sentences would be helpful for him. Using visual aids and graphic organizers is also essential to help him connect words to ideas and track key elements of the story. The second one is utilize audio and multimodal tools known as AT, offering Pedro an audiobook or read aloud version of stories for him to follow along with as he reads is crucial, along with interactive digital tools such as animations, highlighted text, etc., to help him understand and retain information. The third one is to build Pedro's background knowledge. Discussing themes before reading in familiar context and relating Pedro's life to characters of the text will help him comprehend the meaning behind these stories. The fourth one is the CRSE strategies, connecting to his own culture and through family, traditions, values, etc., is important for him to connect and relate to materials. And the last one is peer collaboration learning. pair Pedro with a peer buddy for discussions and additional help with content.
Some more teaching strategies include structured activities and support. So, sentence starters, guided questions when reading will help him participate and engage with the materials more meaningfully. Breaking down assignments into smaller, more manageable parts will also support his comprehension. Possible sentences is a strategy in the packet we were provided, which is using his prior knowledge before reading and visually displaying vocabulary to help him create meaningful sense of the content, graphic organizers to represent a wide range of material, to skim and scan for important ideas by organizing the main ideas and concepts. And then PBS, or positive behavior supports, which enforces positive classroom rules to prevent behavior issues, and private cue systems will help limit his disruptive behaviors in class and provide a clear, structured routine with a reward system in place.
So our CRSE component was the number 4-1, which means providing all learners with adequate and differentiated opportunities to learn and succeed. And how we did this was Pedro would be able to have access to various supports, including graphic organizers, culturally relevant text, visual and audio accommodations, and differentiate activities. Pedro needs to be able to communicate and receive information in a clear, concise, and wow modal manner. This includes verbal explanations, visual aids, and written instructions. His instructions will be broken down into smaller, more manageable parts with scaffolding support. His academic success and performance will also be supported through differentiated tasks and match his learning needs, such as collaborative activities or independent tasks based on performance. Addressing Pedro's needs through the lens of this oh my gosh, com competency means maintaining high expectations while also providing differentiated opportunities and level of support to value Pedro's strength and scaffolding for his weaknesses.
So, for our reflection, our homeschool partnership, Pedro's mother finds his academics very important and wants him to succeed. Her two jobs keep her very busy, as we've mentioned. She expects the school to be offering him more supports than she feels they are providing at this time. Pedro's school has academic IEP in place for him. However, his behaviors are not being addressed in his IEP.
Another reflection is, where do we begin? One of the first things that should be addressed in his behavior and getting him a behavioral referral, with the possibility of adding a behavioral revision to his IEP. Another step would be setting up a behavior chart for Pedro and having a positive reinforcement for him to work towards for his behavior. The behavior chart would always be sent home to his mom every day, so she is in contact with the school and will know how Pedro did each day.
So our lesson plan draft includes a language arts lesson, and it will revolve around reading a short story, analyzing character challenges and responses to understand the message of the text. So the activities and the product are based off of Pedro's strengths of artistic expression. So storyboards, comic strips, character maps, they all are ways that Pedro can analyze the important facets of a story while also tapping into his naturally artistic nature and strengths. So there will be an audio version of the story with captions for him to listen and read at the same time, clarifying words and pronunciation. For expression, there's going to be sentence starters for Pedro, such as in the chapter Esperanza learns that ... And then for engagement, Pedro will be able to choose for his final product between drawing a scene from the story, writing a short reflection, or recording an audio response about the main character's growth throughout the story. And then we have links to our PBSP and our accommodation matrix. So take us to this one, accommodation matrix. We went over a lot of his present levels of performance, performing below peers in mathematics, functioning at a grade level of like first grade, second grade in some areas. He is functioning at the end of grade one and beginning of grade two in literacy, difficulty controlling his behavior. So now on to the accommodation matrix.
So for the accommodation matrix, this was everything we got from the IUP. So for T for his testing, he is in a small group testing area. He also has extended time, and he is allowed to mark answers in textbooks, including drawings and graphics, and he is allowed to use a calculator. For his R response, he is able to use graphic organizers, responding in the test booklet, using other manipulatives and visual organizers. And then for his presentation, or the P, he is able to use audio presentations such as a human reader. He can also use oh my gosh, use frequent repetition of key points. He used lists and use pictographs.
In addition to the accommodation matrix, there are a couple of other accommodations that Pedro has, which is use of multiple shortened test periods, testing in a separate room, reading of mathematics and science tests, allows students to mark answers and test books, including drawings and graphics, use of graphic organizers and artwork, usually in combination with students' oral response.
And then for the behavior support plan, um, he has a lot of disruptive behavior in the classroom, like profanity and throwing objects, frustration to seek attention. So he disrupts the class on an average of 3 to 5 times per day and throws books and pencils. So his problem behavior are these frustrating, attention-seeking behaviors like shouting and cursing. A replacement behavior could be expressing feelings of frustration through words and problem-solving strategies, such as asking for help, taking a step away, relaxation techniques such as deep breathing or using a stress ball, using I messages. He will have to learn how to self-regulate his frustration through breaks and deep breathing, how to ask for help when he feels frustrated. And this will be taught to him during morning SEL time and as needed when the problems do arise. And then the special education teacher will also be a main form of support and assistance with this behavioral plan, along with the general education teacher. And these will be monitored through SEL lessons, and there will be visual reminders on his belongings in the classroom, and progress will be monitored on a daily basis by both his teachers. And he will also complete self-assessments to monitor his own progress. Um, so the trigger is challenging tasks or demands and him not receiving immediate attention when he wants it. So providing clear, chunked instructions will help him alleviate some of that frustration. And then frequent and specific praise can help reduce those productive or reduce those disruptive behaviors and replace them with more productive behaviors. And a visual timer to show how long he needs to work before he can take a break can also increase his productivity. So using this positive behavior plan can help replace these behaviors, and he can earn something like tokens or points for showing the positive behaviors, which then can be traded for extra time doing art, which is one of his strengths, or something that Pedro really enjoys. But a negative consequence would be redirecting him to replacement behavior with clear instructions, such as instead of doing this, tell me why you're frustrated. So taking away privileges or points to redirect the disruptive behavior and removing those preferred activities. And the last part is just the addition of peer-assisted instruction would help Pedro to receive guidance and support from his peers. They can help him create sentence starters, use guided questions, etc. So he can also like read the story aloud while Pedro follows along, which can help with his comprehension and his reading skills. And that is our entire case study on Pedro. Um, so yeah.